we're talking about a topic that I think everyone can relate with. And it's this idea that sometimes in life, the things that are important and the things that are good for you are not always awesome. Right? Can we agree? So here's the first question I want to ask you guys. Go ahead and throw that up there, Brandon. So it's this idea here. What is something in your life that is a good thing? Something in your life that is good for you, that is healthy, that's going to make you better, yet you hate doing it. What do we think? Some answers, yeah.
Chores.
Chores? Yeah. Yeah, she hates chores. Yeah. School? Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Eating vegetables.
Eating vegetables, yeah.
Running.
Running?
Boys.
Boys? Good. You should stay that way until you're like 18 years old or 25. Yeah. Anybody else? Things in life that you just can't stand that are good for you? Yeah. Laundry? Kylie, do you have one? No, she already went? Yes. Eating healthy, yeah. So I think we can all agree, there's like a long list of these things, right? It's almost like everything in life that's like good for you. Not quite everything, but most everything can be difficult, can be hard at times. I wanted to share with you a couple of mine. I'm curious if you agree. So the first one here, eating healthy. Go ahead and throw that up there. So this meme says actual footage of me trying to enjoy eating healthy, and then I don't like cats, but I don't even like seeing cats that sad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a cat guy, and still, like, has anyone ever been there and it's like, hey, if you want to lose weight, you just got to eat a bowl of lettuce, because it's not all, you know what I'm saying? That is not an awesome thing, but if you want to get healthy, you got to eat healthy. The next one here, go ahead and throw that up there. So, studying. Has anyone ever found you at a time like that, like before a big task, and you're like, oh my goodness, wait until you get into exams in high school and college, and that's you, right? Look at him just running off with the pumpkin spice lattes, though. Just keeping him through. That's Ryan a few years ago. Yeah, next one up here. Here we go. So this is exercise, and it says Monday morning workouts are always the hardest. And you got dude like a Snuggie there? Anyone got a Snuggie at home? Does anyone have a Snuggie? I've had one before. Yeah, so Monday morning workouts are always the hardest. Dude's just limping on the trampoline, trying to crawl around. And then, oh, not trampoline, treadmill. I'm sorry. And last one here. This one is by far the worst. Waking up early. Man, whoever's like, hey, if you're going to be successful in life, you got to wake up early. That person's not my friend. You know what I'm saying? I do not like mornings. Does anybody else hate mornings? Yeah. So I think we can all agree, this idea of like exercising and eating healthy and waking up early and studying and even reading, all these are important things, right? They're all things that can make us better, can make us stronger, can make us healthier, can make us just better overall individuals, although they're not always fun at the time. Sometimes in life, they can actually even be really difficult. They can be hard, and the idea of kind of persevering and doing them anyways can be really, really difficult. So I want to ask you a question here, because we're talking a little bit about the word persevere. So everybody say persevere. All right, now it's a big word, and sometimes I struggle with big words, so I want to break this down together. What does it mean to persevere? What do we think? Yeah. Go on. Like go on. Yeah, very good. Persevere, yeah.
We know you have to go to school for 12 years. You gotta persevere with that stuff.
You do gotta persevere. Because if you don't, you'll be going to school longer than 12 years.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. Yeah, yes. Overcome. Other ideas of persevere. Anything else? Yeah. You stole Kylie's answer. Yeah. So persevere, to push through, to go on with life, to push through it, to overcome things. This idea of persevering is very, very important. I was actually even watching a little bit of a clip on this. It was actually a TED Talk. Has anyone heard of a TED Talk before? So, yeah, a TED Talk is basically, it's kind of like a YouTube clip in a sense, where you have like all these smart people and they get up on stage and they talk about something that's important. So you'll have like business people talking about life, all that. And they were talking about how they were studying individuals in the workplace and individuals who were college students and even high school students and even athletes. So people from all different spectrums. And they said that they were actually able to predict how many people were going to be successful in whatever it is they were able to do based off of 2 traits. And they studied all different types of people, and they narrowed it down to 2 traits. And seeing the life decisions they made earlier in life when it came to these 2 traits actually reflected what was going to happen down the road. And the first one was perseverance, and the second one was grit. Has anyone heard of the word grit before? Let's talk about grit. What does grit mean?
Perseverance.
Perseverance, very similar. Other ideas of grit. It's a little harder. How about a leader? Help me out.
Toughness.
Toughness. Anything else?
To push through when you really want to give up.
To push through when you really want to give up. Toughness. But not even that. I would say that grit is the trait that kicks in if you work on it, if you kind of develop it in yourself, that when everybody else in life would give up, like we're talking 95% of people would give up, maybe even more, grit is the thing that keeps that 5% of special people going. It's that thing in life where everybody's like, you know what, school's hard, I'm just going to flunk and not even worry about it. That separates those people from the people who are like, I'm going to study and push through. It separates the successful people from the unsuccessful people. Perseverance and grit, a very, very big thing. And so we're talking a little bit about this guy named Paul. So we've all probably heard Paul before, right? Yep. So Paul, a very important person in the Bible. 2 characteristics that he had throughout his life were perseverance and grit. Because Paul was a dude who went through a ton in life, but was still able to do awesome things for God. So as a group, I want us to kind of come up with a little bit of Paul's story. So if you know something that Paul did, go ahead and raise your hand and we're going to have you share. Yes? That was the quietest answer. Yeah, he persecuted Christians. What does that mean? Paul was the person who was seeking out to get Christians in trouble and to even kill them. So that's bad, right? Can we agree that's bad? That was one thing that Paul did. Other characteristics of Paul, what do we think? Other characteristics. Yes. Yes. So his name was originally Saul before Jesus, and then once he encountered Jesus, once he encountered a relationship with them, as a way of symbolizing new life, his name was actually Paul. Yes. For sure. He was reaching people for life, preaching to them all that. Yes.
Dude was in a shipwreck, in jail a bunch of times, he was beat up, and he still preached the gospel.
Very, for sure, yes. He went through all types of stuff in life that me and you couldn't even imagine going through, like being locked up in prison, actually, for even just being a Christian. Yeah.
He wrote letters to different churches.
Very cool, yeah. So he actually wrote about almost half of the New Testament, which is everything after Jesus, all about kind of, hey, here's what I learned in my relationship with God. Here's all I went through to cheer on other Christians, to cheer on other churches. Very good. So I want to put this together a little bit. So Paul, he was a guy who was originally Saul, who was killing Christians, who was trying his best to stop Christianity before it became a thing, although he was still not too far gone for God to work in his life, which is important to know. God took Saul, who was messed up, who was a jerk, who was getting in all types of trouble, and still used him to do awesome things for God. But his journey was not easy. No, it was very, very difficult. Throughout this relationship with Jesus, he was in prison. He had all different types of pains. He had physical pain. He had all these types of friends who he upset at times because he was trying to follow Jesus and they were trying to do the opposite. He had just kind of been through the ringer. And through all that, he was able to show perseverance and grit. Now, I want us to read a little bit of Paul's story together here, where even though he went through all that, this is what Paul says about this. So we're going to look here, and there's a little bit here, so stay with me. Go ahead and throw that up there, Brennan. And this right here is, let me tell you. All right, 2 Corinthians 12, 5 through 10. So follow along with me. There's a little bit here. We're going to talk through this. And it says this. It says, but I will not boast about myself. And what does it mean to boast? It means I'm not going to brag about myself. Paul says this. Even though he did all types of things for God, he's like, I'm not going to brag about myself, except about some of my weaknesses. And then he goes on and he says, even if I should choose to boast, even if I should choose to brag, I would not be a fool because I would be speaking the truth. But I refrain so no one would think of me as more than than warranted by what I do or say. I'm sorry. I wasn't very good at reading. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, so here we go. So I'm going to get this back together here. More than what I do or say. Or because of these surprisingly great revelations. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, in order to keep me from becoming in life kind of thinking more of himself than he actually was, I was given a thorn in my flesh. He went through all types of painful things. A messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take this from me, but he said to me this, while he was going through all this pain, my grace is sufficient for you. Think about this. This is God. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Say weakness. Weakness. Yeah, God says this. Whenever you go through times in life of weakness, it's important to know that God's grace is sufficient. God's grace is enough for you. Whenever we're weak, God is strong. So important to remember, Paul got this. And he says this. He says, therefore I boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. This is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses and insult and hardship and persecution and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. We're talking about this idea of perseverance. And even that last word there, that last sentence, doesn't really make a lot of sense. For when I am weak, then I am strong. How's that possible? How can you go through life? Yeah, go ahead. What do you think? Yeah, for sure. What do you think?
When you go through things, God can change you for the better, and right after you're weak, you can become strong.
Yeah, for sure. So those were killer answers. When you're weak in life, when you're going through life and you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do next. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what the right way to go is, what the right choice is. In that moment of weakness for us, God can make us strong. But for that to happen, we have to be willing to tap into a relationship with Him and to lean on His strength. So I want to ask you, and I want you to think about this, and this is kind of the question for the day that I want you to really be real with in your small groups. What's an area of your life where you've been weak? What's an area of your life where some weakness is showing up? And I want you to know, it's okay to be weak. And that's an important thing to hear. It's okay to have weakness. If someone tells you there's not an area of their life where they're weak, they're lying to you. This was Paul, the same dude who wrote almost like a quarter of the Bible. That type of spiritual leader even talked about his weakness, and he was bragging about it. He's like, hey, I'm going to brag about my weakness. Why? Because the more I brag about my weakness, the more I can brag about how powerful God's strength is that pulled me out of that weakness. So what's an area of your life where you've been weak? And is it a thing where you've actually asked God to come and step in and make you stronger? How can you do that starting today? In what area of your life do you need to lean on God's strength? And I challenge you, find out that thing and then fight for it. Because in the same way Paul went through all types of hardship, we're going to go through hardship in life too. We're going to go through all types of tough things. And it's going to require perseverance, and it's going to require grit. Meaning when we feel like giving up, that's just more of a reason for us to rely on God even more. So I want to challenge you, whenever you go through something tough in life, don't freak out about it. Don't overly worry about it and feel less of yourself. Rely on God and rely on His strength. Let's pray together.